So up front, this is a cover for your jack. When you're storing your RV, you're going to want to keep that covered. You're going to see a switch here to turn the light on and off. And there's another switch for the motor. So this is to raise and lower the unit. There's also a hand crank you can put under this cover here. If you had to crank this by hand, if there's a power failure, you can run it manually. On your propane tanks, this is your regulator. And this knob turns. It lets you select which tank to use. And you see there's a pointer right here. And you can turn this knob left or right to decide which tank you want to use. And right now you can see it's green. That will turn red when you're out of propane. When you're storing the unit and it's not in use, you're going to want to turn the tanks off. And also, behind the tanks, you're going to see a key switch, and that's your battery disconnect. And you're going to want to take the key out when you're storing the camper to prevent the battery from draining. All right, around the side, you'll see your water connections. So this port is to fill your onboard tank. This is used if you're boondocking or in a state park. This allows you to fill your tank with water before you go camping, okay? If you come home and you haven't used that water, there's a drain below, and you just pull that handle. That will drain off any fresh water that has not been used. The city water port, this is the main connector you're going to use when you're at a campground that supplies water. So for this, you just hook your hose up, and this will give you direct water inside the unit. This does not fill the tank. So this is for at a campground where they supply water, and this is if you're going somewhere and you need to bring water with you, okay? This last port, it says antifreeze inlet. This is not used unless the camper is being winterized, then we pump antifreeze through there. Inside the compartment, a couple things to point out. One's your power cord to plug the camper in. There is a light in here. All of the lights have little buttons in the middle. You just push the button to turn the light on and off. And in this little cabinet area, this is where your pump and your water filter are located. There's a wrench, and that's to install the water filter if you choose. I'll show you inside where the water filter is located. It's still shrink wrapped. It's not installed yet. This still has some antifreeze in it. You can see the pink color that's in there. Okay, underneath you're gonna find a waste valve. So you've got, this is capped and it's closed. This is for your galley tank, your kitchen sink. This is to drain any wastewater. So when you're done camping, when it's time to empty, you're gonna take the cap off, put your hose on, and then this valve you just pull straight out, and that would drain your galley tank. There's also a label to remind you. So they call that gray tank 2, which is galley. And if you walk back here, you're gonna see gray water and sewer. And down below, you're gonna find 2 more valves, gray and black. So black is sewer, gray is your bathroom sink and shower. And you can see they're different sizes, obviously. The small one is your gray for your sink and shower. Large is for the toilet, okay? This is your cable and satellite inlet if you go to a campground that has that. And this is where your electric cord goes in. We're just using an extension cord here for the demo, but you're gonna use the heavy cord that comes with your camper. There is one more water port. So this is on the back of the unit near the ladder. This is your sewer tank flush. So this is used to, when you're emptying your black water tank, you're gonna hook your hose up over to this, and you let this run for a minute, and that's gonna flush out your tank so it's clean before storage. This is your outside shower. There's a hitch back here. That's used if you wanted to put a bike rack in. And then up top, that's your backup camera. I don't know if you can see it or not, but that's your backup camera. All right, So on the side of the unit, right now your awning's fully extended. I want to show you, if you have a light rain, you have to lower this so it drains properly. So what you're going to do is put your hand right about here, and you're just going to pull straight down, and then you have to tighten this knob, okay? So, and once you do that, put the phone down for a second. Okay, once you oh, I didn't have it tight enough, but that lowers your awning down for water drainage. And you have to do that if it's going to be a light rain. Now, if it's heavy rain or storms, thunderstorm, windy, if you're going out, you have to close this. You don't want to leave this out unattended. This you have to monitor because the size of it, if you get a puddle of water that forms in the center, you can damage this pretty easy. So normally you leave the knob loose, and again, that allows this to flex if it has to. If it's a light rain or a shower, you're going to want to pull it down, tighten the knob like that. There, I got it to stay. So now you can see it's got some pitch. That'll allow this to drain water, but you still have to monitor it, very important. To work these steps, first make sure the door is open all the way, and then you just lift these in and out. Okay, when you go to lower these steps, the feet are adjustable. You can see that there's a pin right here, and you can pull that pin out, and that'll allow this leg to extend or retract. And you want to make sure that the steps are level. And when you close the door, make sure you go slow and that you have clearance right here. Got about a 1/4 inch there. You want to make sure there's clearance, because if the step's up too high, it's going to hit the door and it's going to rub and you can damage it. So if your step's up too high, you'll have to pull that pin and lower it down so you have door clearance. There's a TV bracket. That's if you wanted to mount an external TV. There's a cable hookup and an outlet over here. This black rail is where the griddle attaches. And underneath you're gonna see where it says LP disconnect. That's a propane port. That's to hook up to the griddle. This is the vent for your furnace if you have the heat running. This is the vent for your water heater if you have that running. Up here's the vent for the stove. This is if you have the stove on. And there's a little flap here, and see that opens and closes. When you're traveling, you're going to want to snap that shut, okay? And then in here, so your table is here. I have your hitch here, which we're going to do in another video. The boxes, that's your griddle, and there's a little table for the outside rail. And these are manual cranks. These are for the this is for the front jack, this lower crank. That middle one is for the stabilizer jacks. That top one is for your slide out room. And that goes right in over here if you have to open and close your slide out room. Okay, in here, these are your fuses and circuit breakers. Got labels on the left and the right, tell you what's what. This also contains the battery charger to recharge when you're plugged in. This is the thermostat for your heating and cooling. And this works just like at home. You set your temperature on the top there. And then down here you can choose either heat or cool. There is a fan switch over here. You can do high or low. And this is pertaining to the air conditioning. So when you have the heat, it only runs one speed. But the air conditioning, you can select high or low. So if at nighttime you want to make it a little quieter. And on the air conditioner itself, you're going to find this little vent, this opens and closes. Normally this air conditioning gets distributed throughout the unit through these roof vents here, but if you have a really hot day, this is made so you can open this up and you know, get the cold air out, cool the unit down a little quicker. On your fireplace, you're going to see the buttons are right in here. And this is really simple. If you want to turn this on, you just push that button. That starts the fireplace. There is a control panel inside. You're going to see the temperature. That's telling me it's 50 degrees right now. You can set the thermostat on this if you want. So right now this is set to, you know, 80 degrees. That means this will heat up to 80 and then it'll turn itself off for you. There's also a setting you can leave it on all the time or off all the time. And the heat's going to come right through the top here. You'll feel it warm up. This is the main control panel for the unit. This is going to have a lot of switches on it. These three big switches you're going to see. So this is to open and close your awning and your two slide rooms. You just hold those down until they open and close. Light switches, so interior, that turns on the ceiling lights inside the unit. Porch is the yellow light that's on the outside. Awning is the LED strip that's under the awning. This next section, this tells you how much water is in your holding tanks. So, for example, if you've been camping and you wanted to check your black tank, you just push the button that says black, and you can see one light comes on and it says empty. But as you use it, you'll see 1/3, 2/3. When all four lights come on, that tells you it's full and you're going to want to empty that tank out. Okay, and the blue switches. So this first one is water pump, and the pump is used if you're boondocking. Okay, that's if you don't have a hose and you want to use water inside the unit. The pump creates pressure using your onboard water tank. Okay, so that you just turn on, you leave it on, and then you go about using the sink, shower, toilet as you would normally. Again, that's only when you're boondocking. If you go somewhere with a hose hookup, like at a campground, then you don't need the pump. Your water's already pressurized coming in the unit. These next two switches are for your water heater. And on this unit, you can run propane hot water and electric hot water. Electric, of course, is only going to work if you're plugged in. But those you basically switch on. It takes about 20 minutes to heat up. Make sure that you've already connected to water and that you've purged the air from the system before starting your water heater. The last button, which is tank heater, that is in the underbelly, and that allows the there's heaters in the tank, and that's if it goes below freezing at night. If you're camping in the fall, you're going to switch that on, and that's going to prevent the tanks from freezing up on you. So right now I've got the TV on, and I want to show you that behind the TV, you'll see that little green light. Might be hard to see, and there's a button to switch that on and off. And what that button does, so that green light indicates that the antenna is on, okay? But if you go somewhere with cable, then you have to hit that button and turn it off, okay? But right now we're on antenna. And we've run this once already, but I do want to show you, if you move this TV, you do have to rescan. To do that, you're going to push on your remote control menu, and you go over to channel, and you go down to auto scan, and that will find all your local stations. Now this TV has built-in speakers that you can run. You can also turn on your radio, which I have on, and right now this is just on FM mode. If you hit BT, that's a Bluetooth mode. That'll allow you to like play music off your phone if you want. And if you hit mode a few times, you're gonna go through and see TV audio 2, and that plays the TV audio through the sound bar. A little bit louder that way, okay? On the right side here, you're gonna see it says speaker 1, 2, 3. That's used to turn on and off the speaker zones. And on this camper, 1 is the living room, 2 is the bedroom, and 3 is outside, okay? To shut this off, you just hold down the power button. It'll say standby, and then it shuts off. At that point, the sound bar is off, so now just the TV is left on, and we'll shut that off too. This also has a slot for a CD or DVD, okay, so you can play either on there. Okay, the stove. So before you use this stove, you're going to open the glass like that. Make sure the flap is open, and turn your fan on for ventilation. On the front of the stove, you'll see all the knobs, and I'm going to do all the burners, but you basically turn this to light. I'm just going to light all 3, and then you push your sparker. So that lights this, kind of like lighting a grill, okay? Again, I just did all 3 to test. The oven, there's an extra step for this. You're going to want to turn this. You can see it says pilot on, and there's a little black triangle. There we go. So you turn that to pilot, and what you have to do is push the knob in with one hand, hit your sparker, and if you look below, you'll see now a tiny little pilot flame, okay? Once you see the flame, keep holding that knob for about 15 seconds. After 15 seconds, you can release the knob and turn the temperature, and now you see your burners come on, okay? And that'll start to heat up now. When you're through with that oven, go all the way to off. Don't leave the pilot burning, and make sure that this glass is up, because the heat comes out back here for the oven, and you want to make sure that that can vent properly. Before you go down the road, make sure you close that back up. So a couple things in the drawer. There's a radio remote. There's a heated mattress remote. And this is the water filter if you wanted to install that at some point. This is the paperwork for the camper in this pouch. There's also extra cable wire, and there's also a gas hose. The gas line is for your griddle. That's to connect the griddle, so you can use that if you want. This is the tire pressure monitor, which I've taken out of the box already and programmed. There is a suction cup and a charging wire in there. This is already charged, so it should be ready to go. On the side, your on-off switch. And you basically just flip this on, and this is going to show you your 4 trailer tires. Now it's blank right now because we're stationary, but once you start driving, you will see the pressure and temperature show on this display, and that'll beep at you if the pressures get low. There's a warning. There's a light switch over here. This is for the bedroom ceiling lights. Up here is one of the fans. You got a crank here, that's to open and close the lid. This button here is to turn on and off the fan. There's another one of these in the bathroom, by the way. There's 12 volt and USB ports over here. There's a second outlet kind of hidden down there. If you tuck on the side of the mattress, you'll find there's a plug. There's a strap here. This is for travel. This goes on to make sure the door stays put when you're going down the road. There's another one on the bathroom door that you'll see. On your refrigerator, the controls are up top. So that turns it on and off, and you should see the auto light come on. If you don't see auto, just hit that second button, put this in auto mode. Auto's gonna run on electric first if it's available. It'll try to run on electric. If there's no electric, it'll go to gas by itself. Auto means it's gonna switch back and forth all the time as it's needed. That's the preferred way to run this. You can manually switch it to gas mode if you want, and that's what the second button's for, but really just leave it on auto and allow it to make a decision and switch on its own. All right, we'll shut that off. And that fridge is gonna take 4 or 5 hours to get cold, so make sure you give that a little time to get. All right, in the bathroom, another light switch. There's a GFI outlet back here. This is if something gets wet, it shuts off the power. And this will shut power to all the outlets. So if something's not working in the unit, you're going to want to, come to reset that, because that gives power to all of the outlets. The RV toilet, there's a foot pedal on the side. And the way this toilet works, you push the pedal halfway, and that fills with water, because these don't automatically refill like at home. So you have to manually fill with water, and then all the way flushes the toilet. Okay, there's some antifreeze in there still, as you can see. This is when you're traveling. Make sure that the shower door stays locked up. And this is the water saver feature on the shower. This is used if you're boondocking only. So if you have water, in your tank and your pump is on, this is designed to help save that water. What this does, before you take a shower, you're going to raise this lever. You turn on your hot water, and you wait for this blue pipe to turn color. That'll turn white when the water's warm. Once it's white, then you flip this down, and you'll have instant hot water coming out of the shower. Okay, now if you go to a campground and you're hooked up to a hose, this stays down all the time. So the only time you raise that is if you want to preheat your hot circuit, if you're again boondocking, or if you're camping and you're using the water in your tank and you're trying to save a little bit. That's when you flip that up, is to preheat. Normally just leave it down and use the shower as you would normally. Okay, last thing I want to show is the slide lock. And let me get this out of here. Oh, I'll show you this window too. This is our emergency exit window. Most of these windows, they just have a crank, but this one has a special way to open it. There's just a little red kind of lever that you push in and out. And this can be used as an exit too. Okay, so this is your slide lock bar that I have right here. And what we're going to close this slide, and I'll show you where to install this bar. So one thing to keep in mind, when this slide out's closed, this is something that you cannot sit on or walk on. Okay, when this is closed, the floor is unsupported, and it is not designed to be sat or walked in. Once it's closed all the way, you'll hear that ratchet noise, and that's how you know this thing's tight. Excuse me for a second, put the phone down. So this goes on top of the slide out, and actually there's a sticker right there. It says place slide lock here. So what you do, you put one end over there, and I need two hands. I'm not going to be able to demo this that well. See if I can get a shot of this now. So this is the slide out. See, slide out lock. One end's against the wall of the camper, and the other end is against the slide out flange. Once it's in place, you rotate this bar 2 or 3 times until it's tight. And that's just to make sure that this is closed nice and tight when you're going down the road. This is only used on the large slide out. The bedroom slide out does not need a lock installed. This is only for the large slide out.